Hi, Aparna. Good
Hello,
afternoon.
Mandir. Good to see you. Good
Good to see
afternoon.
you. How are you doing?
I'm rocking.
Ha! That's the beautiful energy Aparna brings. So, hello, everyone. Hopefully, we are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So, do let us know if you can see us live so that we know that we can get started. Cool, 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 cool. Aparna, can you hear me well? All good?
I can hear you well. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so growth mindset conversations with Aparna Sharma, episode 19. So, welcome, Aparna, to Growth Mindset Conversation. It's my pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much, Manbir. And likewise, I'm looking forward to an interesting discussion on a very touchy subject.
Very touchy topic. Before we go on to this touchy, soft topic, so let me introduce Aparna to all of you. After completing her post graduation from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, Aparna made her foray into corporate world through Nocil and moved into different roles in the HR function in organizations like Monsanto, Novartis, UCB, Deutsche Bank, Lafarge, and Greaves Cotton. In her diverse roles, Aparna has successfully been a learning partner, mentor, and a coach to leaders, leadership teams, and organizations to build competencies, learning abilities, and nimbleness for achieving purposeful performance. Aparna wears multiple hats. She's a motivational speaker, a coach, counselor, an HR professional, and an academician. In her 25 years of work experience, believe me, she has won multiple awards. And if I go on about talking about her awards, we will spend another half an hour. So I'm not mentioning all the awards, but she has won multiple awards for her work and her contributions. Welcome, Aparna. Welcome again to episode
Thanks.
19 of Growth Mindset Conversations.
Thanks, Manbir. It's an honor and a privilege, and I look forward to the conversation.
Yes, and let me also acknowledge all of you who are joining us live. Thank you so much for taking time and joining us live. And do add your question to the comment section, and I would be able to get those questions to Aparna at the right time. Okay, so now we are talking about very sensitive and touchy-feely topic dealing with organization politics. And before we head on to the exact topic, Aparna, as the show called Growth Mindset Conversations, the first question to you is, what is growth mindset for Aparna Sharma?
Okay. Thanks so much. I think it's important to kick off, with the foundation of this show, with a very basic question that you asked. So, as I think about growth mindset, um, to me, it is a set of attributes and behaviors that help us to embrace change, strive for constant improvement, also reflect the belief that individuals and professionals can develop, learn, and grow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, uh, individuals, are, of course, born with innate gifts, but, talent can also be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input and feedback from other people. This is because, we have to worry less about looking
Hmm.
smart, uh,
Hmm.
and put all that energy into learning. So when we do that, I think we actually evolve into better professionals, better human beings who are very well poised, to be flexible in our approach, and very open minded as well, right?
Wow.
To me
Right.
also, I don't want to say growth mindset is different from fixed mindset, because we all know that, right? But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
there is some misconception around the growth mindset, and the first one, which is that I already have it, I have a
Mm-hmm.
growth mindset. Everybody would like to claim that I have a growth mindset. I've always had it. Okay. I have it now and I've always had it. Okay. It's such a cool thing to say.
Yeah.
But I think people, to me, having this conception actually is false growth mindset. It's not the real
Mm-hmm.
one. We're
Mm-hmm.
actually, all of us, Manbir, you and me also included, are actually a mixture of fixed and growth mindsets. We can't
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
one or the other, but we are actually a mixture of this. And this continually evolves with experiences as we go along.
Yeah.
The second misconception is that it's just about praising and rewarding effort. All right, so if you have a growth mindset, in a lot of organizations, it's part of the vision and the mission, and saying having a growth mindset. Okay. But it's not about praising and rewarding effort. I think uh, outcomes are what are important. All right, when you have
Mm-hmm.
a growth mindset, your outcomes and the impact that you're able to create as a result of those outcomes, positive, productive outcomes, I think are what help you build and develop a growth mindset.
Awesome. Awesome. And so powerful words you have used: change, strive for constant performance, putting energy into into right things. And something which is really, really strike me is you cannot have growth mindset or fixed mindset always. It's like, combination. You can't stand by I always have growth mindset and I used to have, but it's combination. And something which is coming to my mind is I have a choice, right? It's also awareness. So if I have awareness that, right now I have a fixed mindset or growth mindset, I think that does the trick. Thank you so much for bringing it that, beautiful point. Really love that. And I'm very curious to ask, how does it relate to, organizational politics? But I'm holding on to that question because I guess, let's let's back up a little and understand. Aparna, what do you think? What is organizational politics at all?
You see, I'm sighing because, I mean, this is not dramatics that I'm sighing, but, I've dealt with so much of it and experienced so much of it. So, uh, it's called, some people call it backstabbing, brown
Mm-hmm.
nosing, bootlicking, manipulating, hidden agendas, turf struggles, old boys networks, deals under the table, power hungry, style over substance. These are different forms and variations of politics and types that
Yep.
actually one can encounter. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
to me, what is, there is not an organization on earth that does not have to deal with politics. The degree varies from one to the other, but the reality is that all of them have some sort of internal political struggle that can rip the organization apart. Dealing with this struggle takes a keen awareness of the landscape, the players, and rules with which the game is played. Okay. So, what is organizational politics? It's actually an active game that goes on in organizations, and the political landscape is, for example, there's formal hierarchy, there's informal hierarchy, there are alternate hierarchies in organizations that link all these political players. So, I
Mm.
said landscape, players, and rules. All of this are important in a game, right? And
Yeah.
when you talk
Yeah.
about formal hierarchy, there is flat, there is functional, there is divisional, there is matrix. There are various types of formal hierarchies that can happen. What is important, Manbir, is that as one climbs the corporate ladder, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the corporate ladder, and is trying to find one way in the corporate maze or the corporate
Yeah.
jungle, you might call it, the
Yeah.
ability to successfully navigate the complexity of this kind of politics and influence stakeholders, including your peers, becomes as critical as professional competence.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why
Yeah.
we are talking about this in open today, because it is, nobody will call it that way, okay, but it is actually as important as your professional competence. You say, I'm competent, so I deserve this and I should get this, and so on and so forth. But
Mm-hmm.
because of various things at play in an organization, and an organization is a sum total of talent, which is in turn professionals, right?
Yeah.
Professionals, human
Yeah.
beings. So when
Yeah.
there is an interplay of that, that is when actually it gets tricky, right? So
Yeah.
to me, I think um, it is understanding how to meander, uh, in the corporate jungle or in the corporate maze. Okay, you can call it overcome, you can call it, I don't think you can really overcome. I think the ways to deal with it, or some would call it cope with it, uh,
Yeah.
you know
Maneuvering, maybe maneuvering through that.
it, maneuvering through it.
Through. Yeah.
I think are terms that you can say that you have to find your way because it exists,
Yeah.
and you have to
It
coexist
does
with it.
exist. Yeah, yeah. And I'm with that definition, I'm curious to ask you that have you ever encountered organization politics? Though you said there's no organization, who can say that, we don't have politics at all. But can you share some example from your life or somebody else's life, which you might have encountered and very closely observed organization politics in your career?
Sure. So let me talk about mine, and then there is one that I witnessed of a friend. So let me start with mine. So yeah, I've encountered it pretty close. And how does it come? It's not that suddenly politics is happening. It doesn't happen like that. But I've often received feedback from my bosses and superiors that I'm very straightforward and forthright and always call spade a spade. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this was feedback that I received initially. But as I started progressing in my career, the feedback became more direct, right? So you would actually look at being straightforward and forthright as strengths. Anyone would look at these as strengths. Okay. But as one was growing and progressing, the feedback was more direct to say that you're not politically savvy. Okay. Quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, you're
Mm-hmm.
not politically savvy. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
you will actually find it very hard to survive and maneuver, the word you use, maneuver in the corporate jungle. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
it was on my face, saying you can, think you're very virtuous by being straightforward and forthright, but you will find it hard. Okay. When I tried asking for examples, okay, in your appraisal, and when you have those conversations with bosses, I tried asking for examples. So, saying, how did you reach this conclusion? Could you share examples? Some of them shared a few instances where I've called a spade, and I've sort of, not found choicest words to say it in a different manner. But
Mhm,
most
mm,
superiors or bosses said, go figure it out for yourself.
mm, mm,
Okay. Um,
mm,
so what were the consequences of this? Okay. I've been passed over for critical roles, when I was the most competent person to handle that role. I've been passed over for raises, increments, a better bonus, okay, over others in the team. Uh, and this happened with people who were closest to the boss. Okay.
mm,
So,
mm, mm.
you pay a price. You pay a
Yeah.
price for not being politically savvy.
Mm,
However,
right.
when I look back, I still managed to grow, succeed, without compromising. on my principles, values, or morals. Okay. And there have been
Mhm.
several
Mhm.
instances where growth would come at that expense. But I've
Mhm.
sort of stayed very firm on principles and morals and values. Okay.
Mhm.
When I
Mhm.
say this, it sounds so simple, but the question I'm sure, Manbir, you and maybe the viewers have is, has Aparna mastered the art of dealing with organizational politics?
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
answer is certainly not. However,
Mhm.
what I'm sharing with you is based on um, insights, based on what I have experienced, in my corporate career. Because
Yeah,
I've also coached people who have fallen victims, as a leader.
absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
one becomes more aware. One
yeah,
becomes more aware when you've, dealt with situations like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Aparna, for being so authentic on the show and sharing your experience. And we have comments from Dr. Krishnan, Ritu Gaur, and others that they can actually relate to it. And they're all appreciating you sharing experience. Thank you so much. I guess, that helps us to voice out and realize that we are not alone. So, you said you were able to maneuver, you were able to still grow, and there are people who get stuck because of so-called organizational politics. Everybody is not able to maneuver. So how do we be politically savvy in the corporate world? I don't know if I'm using the right word, but kind of, to make it very simple, how do I deal with this politics so that, I'm not compromising on my principles, but at the same time I am maneuvering the corporate jungle or corporate maze in the right way?
Sure. A great question. And I think this is the crux of the conversation, because if there are going to be any takeaways from people, while everyone, all the viewers can relate to what I'm saying, but if the biggest takeaway will be on ways to deal with this reality which exists in
Yeah, yeah,
organization. All right. So
yeah,
let me share a few ways which have worked for me. Okay. And again, I'm saying
yeah,
it based on experience, because no theory, no book, it doesn't help in practical life. It's good for theory, but if you can't apply
yeah,
it, doesn't make sense. All right.
yeah,
So what
yeah.
what helps? Okay. And I'll give you some 8 10 tips and tricks, if you may call it. All right. So the
Oh,
first
wow,
one is
wow. So pick up your pens,
okay.
pens and
No, so
copies.
I'm saying I have a hat and I'm pulling off some tips and tricks from here.
Yeah,
Okay. So the
yeah,
first one is, you need to be data driven. Okay. Uh, Usually, data trumps any sort of political agenda. So when you're having a conversation, um,
mm,
you have your facts, figures, and data with you. Okay. And when you are data driven, you rely on facts, and that's the best method to diffuse any sort of political positioning that happens in meetings or conversations. So I think that's the
mm-hmm,
first most important. And I'm talking this work related. I'll come to the softer aspects of this, but I'm saying when you're at work, you have a task and you see people doing politics, make sure you have your facts and data correct. All right.
yeah,
The
yeah,
second important thing is, you know, it's important to be aware of the question, understand the question behind the question. Okay. When people are asking, are saying things, okay, it may not be as straightforward. All right. So you have to listen to what is being said. It may be mere words, but what is the intent behind what is being said? What happens is, when we are listening,
mm-hmm,
we are already listening to respond. We are not listening
mm-hmm,
to understand. Okay. There
mm,
is a difference between listening to respond versus listening to understand. When you
yeah,
understand, you're able to think and respond appropriately. The word is respond, the word is not react. Okay.
mm-hmm,
When you
mm,
react, you're shortchanging yourself. When you respond, you have understood the question behind the question, and hence you are responding. All right.
yep,
The third thing is, in such tough battles or struggles, okay, uh, it's okay to admit if you're wrong. Okay, I'm not superhuman. I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. Okay, and I'm saying this, on the platform today. I have grown by making mistakes, but I've made sure that I don't make the same mistake twice. I've learned from my mistakes, right? So I'm not infallible in that sense. So when you are wrong, admit, okay, because it's okay to show people that you're vulnerable. Okay,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
have that facade where you're know all and be all and you're perfect, okay, that only exists in sci-fi movies or maybe Bollywood or Hollywood. It doesn't exist in real life, right? So it's okay to admit that you're wrong,
Yeah.
because that makes people relate to you, and sort of at least try to play lesser games with you, right? The other thing is, let's understand, in the corporate world nobody has anything personal with you. Okay,
Hmm.
the fourth point is, it's not personal, but it's just about outperforming, beating the other person, because it's highly competitive, right?
Yeah.
So the fifth point is telling the truth. Okay, I told you I got feedback that I'm straightforward, and I call spade a spade. Okay, telling the truth. And Manbir, you said I'm authentic. So being authentic is very important, at least in your
Yeah.
own interest, because it may seem the most obvious, that, so what's the big deal, tell the truth. Okay, but most people will skirt the truth if they get a chance. Okay, just
Yeah.
to save some their own skin, or whatever. The sixth most important thing is foster alliances. You've got to
Yeah.
know who's on your side and you are on whose side. All right, and
Yeah.
I think you've got to take time to foster those alliances and relationships. I
Absolutely.
can tell
Yeah.
you from my own career that I was so busy working and working hard that I was so oblivious of what was happening around me. Who was going out with whom, and who was having water cooler conversations with whom, and who would actually stand up for whom. I was so oblivious. Okay, so if you are blinkered and you say, "Oh, I'm focusing on my task," no, I think the a 360-degree view of what's going on around you is as important as the task at hand, right? So you
Absolutely.
got to foster relationships, you know
Yeah.
and when you foster relationships, the eighth point is, try and find common ground with people. Okay, you've got to be able to find uh, common ground. Okay, because that is when collaboration can happen, right? The ninth point is, agree to disagree. Okay. Sometimes a situation will descend into such chaos that the only solution is to agree to disagree. And this should be a last option, but it's a very powerful tool when you're deadlocked. Okay. So, very politely, but agree to disagree. Other people think you've let your guard down. You never let your guard down, but you agree to disagree very respectfully. And the final point is, try to be the peacemaker. I'm not saying that, Manbir, because I'm HR and I like,
Yeah.
camaraderie and engagement and collaboration. I mean, my specialization is HR. I'm not HR. But you see, human resources, human relations, HR is also human relations. Uh, you
Yep.
know, that also is needed at home, in families also. The best example of human resources and human relations is at home, if you just observe.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
the final point here is, be the peacemaker. Okay, it's best that you get the reputation of someone who finds solutions to tricky problems. Everyone can tell you the problem, but are you someone who's trying to look for solutions? Okay, being a peacemaker is one way to achieve that. And peacemakers are actually looked at favorably because they transcend politics and focus on making progress. They are looking at how is it that we can actually get beyond this and focus on successful outcome. All right.
Yeah.
So they are
Yeah.
looked at more peacefully. So when you have different roles, I talked about rules, players, landscape, make sure that you are become someone who is more solution oriented rather than someone who's actually poking and telling everyone what else is wrong in the system. you
Yeah.
know so
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
some experiences, ways to cope with, and I talked about 10 of these based on my experience, which has actually worked very well for me, and that's how I have stayed afloat and I have grown,
Wow.
right?
Awesome. I kind of, was taking notes diligently. So, let me take a minute and acknowledge the audience who are commenting. Thank you so much, Dr. Krishnan, Amy, Vijay, Ritu, Ritesh, Ritu Gaur. Thank you so much, all of you, for commenting. Aparna, your points have been really very engaging. People are really commenting and putting up their views that what should we do if we are in a political environment. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time and comments. I'm sure your comments are also equally going to help the audience and everyone here.
Absolutely. I saw someone who said, look for ways for win-win. A very good point.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know who it was, but somebody said, look for ways.
Dr.
So
Krishnan, I
absolutely,
guess. Dr.
yeah,
Krishnan
very,
said it.
very well. And I could
Yes.
see a few points, but, really thank you, because I'm also learning as I'm speaking. I'm also learning from your experiences.
Yeah, yeah. And he also kind of summarized right now, to be part of the solution than the part of the problem. So that's a very good way of saying it. But Aparna, you really, brought all those points in a really, really tangible manner, because many times this particular issue of, that I'm in a situation of politics become very intangible. So you kind of, brought tangibility to it, be data driven, listening to respond, not to react, admit wherever something has been done. If you have made mistakes, tell the truth, foster collaborations, foster alliances. And Amy said beautifully that many people who belong to some technical skills, domain skills, they invest too much in those skills and they forget to invest in relationship skills. So do invest in relationship skills. Agree to disagree. Try to be a peacemaker. And Dr. Krishnan very well said that be part of the solution than being part of the problem. And Siji also said, loved your point, how to navigate through office politics. So you really mentioned it very well, Aparna. Thank you so much for those points. And I know all these points have growth mindset kind of imbibed or woven inside. But if I ask you, what is growth mindset has to do with office politics or work politics, what would you say?
So, I think because mindset itself, like I said, could be fixed or growth,
Yeah.
is also something which actually defines people's relationships, people's outcomes, people's goals, and people's aspirations in an organization. So,
Yeah.
when there is an interplay of all of these, since no person or professional is apolitical, when there are goals, there are ambitions, there are relationships at play and sometimes at stake, that is when uh, doing things which are beneficial to oneself as compared to others, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of a feeling comes into or kicks in. That
Yeah.
is when it actually makes people competitive in an unhealthy way. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm.
So
Mm.
this is all about mindsets. All right. But you're talking about growth, and not
Yeah.
everyone in an organization or in a team can grow at the same pace. Okay, can
No.
grow,
Yeah.
grow at the same pace. There will be some favorites, there will be some hard nosed ones, etc., etc. because
Mm-hmm.
it is people, it's personalities. So,
Yep.
given all of that, when I'm trying to outperform and do better than one or others in the team, okay, the only way I can do that, if all things being equal, is only by putting a spoke in the wheel. Okay. And that spoke in the wheel is politics. Okay. To say it very simply in a very naive manner, putting a spoke in the wheel where all things are going well, okay, that part actually becomes politics. So that is something which will prevent people from growing and from having a positive and a growth mindset.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. And that's such a nice way to wind up this discussion. I'm sure if we continue, I think looking at the enthusiasm people have, I guess our discussion can continue. But appreciating your time and everyone here. So it's a beautiful point to wind up that having a growth mindset where you are growing, everyone is growing, and not taking office politics, as Dr. Krishnan said, as revenge or negative. How can you transform into something positive? And how you have answered it beautifully by those 8 points, which you shared. I guess it's beautiful. And Vijay said, I love politics of growth and development, and there are ways of purposefully reaching your goals. Isn't it beautiful? Thank you, Vijay, for commenting that. That's a
Absolutely.
beautiful way. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aparna, for this awesome discussion and bringing so tangibility to the whole discussion and great insights. Appreciate your time and value you have created for everyone here today. Thank you.
Many thanks, everyone. It is Corona time, so while this session is virtual, thanks again for the opportunity. And like they say, someone has to bell the cat. So
Yes,
we decided, Manbir and I together as a team decided that as part of this, we shall bell the cat and bring it out in the open, uh, to you. And I'm sure, like you said,
absolutely.
we can go on and on, but we look
Yes.
forward to engaging with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, to start the discussion, triggers the thoughts in your mind that how can you think about it from the growth mindset, as Aparna said. Thank you, Aparna. And thank
Thank
you everyone for joining us live. And if you're watching this as a recording, thanks to you too. Hope you have got value out of this and you will implement some of those learnings which you have learned just now from Aparna and others in the show. See you all again in the next episode of this series. Thank you and all the very best. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you once again. Thank you,
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.